listening to the IELTS Podcast. Learn from tutors and ex-examiners who are masters of IELTS preparation. Your host, Ben Worthington.
Hello there, IELTS students. In this tutorial, we are talking with an exceptionally bright student called Caroline, who has managed to take the exam and got into an MBA program in Taiwan. And she's going to tell us exactly how she got past that 6.5 barrier, how she boosted her scores, the whole preparation experience. And it's going to be a very insightful and valuable tutorial. So welcome to the podcast, Caroline. Could you tell us a bit about yourself, please, before we get on to IELTS?
Okay, sure. Thank you, Ben. So my name is Caroline. I'm from Vietnam. So I still remember at that time, I needed a higher score to get into my MBA program in Taiwan. So my biggest challenge was getting the required score in writing and speaking. But there was so much competition for the scholarship. That's why I need to improve my writing and speaking IELTS score, but I felt completely overwhelmed at that time.
Really? Yeah. And like, why did you feel overwhelmed? And like, how did it feel struggling with the writing and the speaking?
Yeah, so because at that time I was practicing IELTS by myself, so like I felt like a little bit lost without real feedback. So I couldn't tell like where I was wrong and where I was going right. So every day I was like, I don't know, I feel a little bit like panic attack, thinking like I might not make it for my IELTS exam.
Really? Oh my goodness. Oh my word. And what were you doing? Like, how were you preparing before you found IELTSPodcast.com?
So I was trying to try everything online from like free videos, practice tests, or maybe like blogs. But it's what I don't know, it's just like chaotic because I don't know like where to start from, and I'm not really sure if the direction is right for me. So I was also like wasting hours, like going from one confusing YouTube video to another, and like I feel like I didn't improve at all. So I couldn't get better, like how much, like no matter how much I study. But that was the time that like I got into your podcast, and it really hit me. I realized that I actually like really need like a structured plan and a clear path forward.
I see. Interesting. So before you were just like bouncing around on YouTube, watching some tutorials, trying to implement it, but I guess you were learning from different tutors and it kind of got a bit confusing, no? Is that right?
Yeah, it was so confusing, and also like free resources were too generic for me. And I also like thought about like going to some cram schools or maybe get some kind of like private tutorial, but they were so expensive because I really need somebody like who can give me feedbacks and like so on and so forth.
Interesting. I see. And this sort of like when you were studying before and you weren't getting the feedback, do you think that was contributing to those panic attacks that you mentioned before and the overwhelm?
Yeah, completely. Yeah, because I wasn't sure like if my essay, if my writing is correct. And sometimes like I did some kind of like mistake during my like writing, but I'm not sure like how to correct it. And also like during my speaking test, I tried to do it by myself, but it was like I'm not really sure if like my answer is like correct, and it's also like close to the template of the IELTS exam answers. So yeah, I was so lost and like confusing at that time.
I see. Right then. And then at what point did you decide to join our course, and what like concerns or doubts did you have at that time when you were considering joining?
Yeah, actually, like at that time, I wasn't sure if an online essay checker could handle me, like could handle the complex writing task. But it really like surprised me that it did. It gave me like so many suggestions, also like about my writing way and also my grammar. Yeah, it did everything. And I was worried the course might be too rigid, but it was so flexible and fit my schedule perfectly. I questioned if online practice could replace in-person classes because like it worked really like better than I expected.
Amazing. Wow. Okay. So when you were preparing for the MBA, it sounds like you had a busy schedule. And that was one of the reasons why you didn't want to do the inline classes. You needed a solution that would fit to your schedule. Is that right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. And at what point did you realize, for example, the speaking simulator was working for you, or even the writing simulator? At what point did you realize it was working for you?
Okay, so during the simulator of the writing, I feel like my essay it was so much more like clearer and more structured because like during so taking writing IELTS exam, like if I need to improve my score band, I really need to have like to make my argument clear and structured in order to like get point from from the exam. But yeah, the writing feedback was really good at that point. And for the speaking simulator, it gave me the confidence that boost me like when I needed the most. I really liked the feedback that it gave me very in detailed.
Amazing. Excellent. Okay. And I remember in the email that you sent, you mentioned that you improved your vocabulary for the speaking exam. How did you improve your vocabulary?
Yeah, so during the speaking simulator, like every time like there is like a kind of like topic and I the simulator it doesn't only like give me some kind of like feedback on like the way I speak, the grammar, but it also suggested me some new vocabularies that I can learn. And then after that, I can try to learn and apply it into my next speaking simulator. That's why like it really helped me a lot with my speaking test.
Great. That's super. I'm very happy for you, Caroline. Did you do a lot of speaking tests?
Actually, I didn't really remember because like every mock test I did gave me more confidence and like after each one I could feel my progress. I think it wasn't just about practicing, it was getting used to the exam conditions.
I see. I see. So although you were practicing, and it sounds like you were practicing a lot if you lost count on how many you did,
Yeah.
but it was more a question of sort of like getting used to answering questions when you see them, when you hear them, and also, I guess, getting the ability to answer questions that you would normally be unprepared for. Is that right? Like thinking on your feet.
Yeah, like because like I have been practicing it for like many time and I also learned the vocabulary. So it's like for me when I get used to it, I use so like many new words and I feel like it's very natural for me. So like right now, like even though like if you can ask me like a random question, I think like I can answer it like right away.
That's awesome. That's great. And this is just for the listeners, this is very practical, very useful advice because it might sound weird, like, oh, ask me a random question. But this is exactly what happens on your speaking test. You get questioned about topics you might never have thought about ever before, such as like, how does noise impact you? I don't know, is punctuality important in your culture? These random questions. So yeah, that's a great point there, Caroline. And what happened on your test day?
Oh, I was completely ready. The writing test was almost identical to what I practiced, so I got into it with confidence. During the speaking test, I used so many of the new words that I learned. It felt very natural. And for the listening and reading, it's not a problem for me. I've done the mock test like so many times before the real test.
Gotcha. So you used practice tests, which I guess you found online for the listening and reading, and you just did those again and again and again. Is that how you got a decent score?
Yeah, yeah, just try to get
Amazing.
used to it. Yeah.
Great stuff, great stuff. And then, so what scores did you get for the writing and the speaking?
Oh, I couldn't believe it. I scored like 7 in writing and speaking, and for my reading and listening test, I got 7.5. Yeah, I got like all the dream score that I needed for my MBA in Taiwan. Yeah, it was honestly the happiest moment of my life.
Amazing. So you, with your high IELTS scores that you got, you managed to get into the MBA in Taiwan, and that's where you're living right now?
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
how does it compare to Vietnam? Because that's where you're from originally, right?
yeah. I was from Vietnam. Actually, like the life in Taiwan is pretty close to Vietnam because yeah, I'm living in the north of Taiwan now, and I was from the north of Vietnam. The weather is pretty like similar, and also like because I improved my IELTS score, I actually like managed to get scholarship here. Yeah, it helped me a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. Wow. That's fantastic. And so what would you say to somebody who's possibly thinking about joining the IELTS podcast course or using our tools?
Yeah, so for me, if I have to say something, I'm just gonna say like you don't need to think twice, just go for it. Because the simulator and feedback completely transformed my approach. I didn't even need a private tutor anymore, which is so expensive. And the course gave me the result that I needed and also like the confidence, like as you can see right now.
That's amazing. So just one last thing. Do you think it was because you were doing so many mock tests that you improved your confidence, or was it something maybe in the course or from a YouTube video? What do you think was the key factor to boosting your confidence for the exam?
I mean, like, first of all, like every time we need to prepare for something, of course, practicing makes perfect. But the thing that I like about the simulator is like it gives me like everything I needed. For example, like as I mentioned, like during the writing, like it corrected me about my grammar, the structure of the writing task, which is very important because I know that the scoring criteria of writing, that is the very important thing that the tester they will take a look when they try to score our writing task, and also like during the speaking simulator, like usually like when I speak, I just like speak with the way that I like, but I didn't really notice about the grammar or maybe like how to like say it, like what is the beginning point and what is the conclusion. But the simulator, it helps me with all of that, like yeah, really helped me improve my speaking skills. And also like yeah, that is the reason why I boosted my confidence in speaking and writing.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Well done, Caroline. I'm very impressed with your scores, and I'm very happy you got to Taiwan, and I'm wishing you all the success with your MBA. That's just fantastic. So yeah, is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap this up?
Okay, I'm just gonna say to those people who are like wanting to buy the course and also try out the simulator, yeah, just go for it. Yeah, it's really worth it.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Caroline. That was
Thank
very,
you.
yeah, it was very much appreciated. So, yeah, big thank you there. And just for the listeners, before we wrap this up, when you go to IELTSPodcast.com, there you'll find all the links you need to join the course, to use the simulator, to use the essay checker, and get going, get practicing, and improving your score. Because that, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It's just improving, putting in the work, and you'll get those band 7s, 8s, or 9s, just like Caroline did. All right. Thank you very much for listening, and have a super day, and good luck with your IELTS exam.
Thanks for listening to IELTSPodcast.com.